Williams, and I am the moderator for today. We are here, Arkansas Land and Community Development Corporation, here in DeWitt Civic Center, Community Center, at 1501 through 1525 Wright Avenue, DeWitt, Arkansas. We're going to have, I know the agenda says opening, but we're going to have a welcome presented here from Mayor Jimmy Black. So let's give him a hand as he comes.
All right. Well, first of all, I'd like to welcome everybody to DeWitt. We appreciate you coming down, and we're glad to host this event. I understand. I'll just be honest with you. Some of these programs I'm not really familiar with, and this is one of them. However, the Arkansas Land and Community Development Corporation is going to present a roundtable discussion, and there are several representatives here, and I'll let you introduce themselves as they get to it. But you know, there's one thing I've learned in city government is there's a lot of money out there for different things. The problem is identifying it, finding out what it is, applying for it. They don't really. I know they try. This is not a negative, but it's a little daunting. Okay, sometimes to figure out how to get a hold of this money, who to contact, and all that sort of thing. They try to make it easy, but you know, we're all busy doing 100 other things. So, but there is a lot of things out there for help for people if you know where to look and who to ask and how to apply, and beat the deadline. So with that, then I appreciate everybody coming, and I'll turn it back over to you. How about that?
That's good.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Next week, we're going to have an opening by Larry Lawson, our Ag Farm Division Director.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mayor Black, for your welcome.
Yes, sir.
And we appreciate the use of your facility to hold this meeting today. And I thank you all for coming. And the intent is that you will get all the information that you may require on USDA various programs, including Natural Resources Conservation Service, Farm Service Agency, as well as rural development. And I understand that with rural development, they aren't allowed to participate from the podium, but that's okay. We appreciate you being here because we know that there's a lot of valuable information that you have to share, maybe one-on-one, and also that there's interest in the room on housing in our rural communities. We know that these are changing times, and it's posing to be very difficult for a lot of our farmers, a lot of our landowners, as well as our residents, especially our senior citizens. And it's a time that requires resilience and adaptability, because we don't know what's going to happen in our state government, our federal governments, and because of we've had to endure changes over the years. These times are particularly interesting for us to be able to endure and to adapt so that we can continue to move forward and prosper as best we can. Because at the end of the day, it's all about prospering and moving forward our communities, our farmers, our forestry owners, our small businesses, because we know that our small businesses tend to employ more people than the large corporations like Walmart. We know that small businesses are very important. And today you will get the information that you require on micro farming, row crop farming, small urban farms, information on farm numbers to established farms, loans, all types of loans, direct loans, guaranteed loans, as well as information on natural resource programs that are available to you to improve your property or to conserve your land and water for future generations to come. as well as rural development, housing, and apartments or community developments. And we hope that everything will be to your satisfaction. If not, just let us know. And we'll make sure that you can get the information that you require. And in each of your programs, there's evaluation sheets that are in there. And I would love it if you would, before you leave, fill out those evaluation sheets for us, because it does help us to understand, what you require, what your needs are, and whether your needs are being met. And if you put special information on there, and I personally look at all of them, if you want to know something specifically, I would do my best to address it. So with that, I'll turn it back into the hands of our moderator. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Robert, for that opening. And now that you've heard our purpose and our reasons for being here, I'm gonna give you some directions on the restrooms out here. You go out the store here and you go to the right and go in. There's men and women's bathroom here. We also have refreshment water stowers there, so you're welcome to that as well. So now we're gonna have our own Dr. King, our CEO, come up and he will give you one USDA.
Say good morning to everyone. Good morning. And I want to specifically thank the mayor, myself, for hosting us, allowing us to use the facility here to conduct this meeting. And man, we call it an outreach meeting, though.
Okay.
Part of outreach meeting. And I really appreciate the mayor's comments. As he referenced, say there are a lot of resources that's available, but unfortunately, sometimes accessing or understanding the process for accessing the resources or the type of assistance that you need, it can be, as he said, it could be, somewhat, confusing to a certain degree. And man, to be quite frank and honest about it, just like products that they deal with retail sales on. Of course, if you change certain things about the product, you can say it's new. Or you say this is the new improved cornflakes, whichever. But regulation and guidelines change also when it comes down to dealing with resources, how to access those resources and availability of resources, okay? And the individuals that deal with administering those regulations, those guidelines, and those staff people that work in the field, USDA staff people, then they make adjustments and they work accordingly to try to provide assurances that those resources are being delivered to the individual recipients that are eligible for those resources. And that's why we say one USDA. Because one USDA, Natural Resource Conservation Services, Farm Service Agency, USDA Rural Development, Ag Marketing Services, Arkansas Department of Agriculture and the resources they have to offer. They partner back with the state of Arkansas as well as other agencies that fall under the USDA program service delivery and opportunities that exist. And it's a lot. There's a lot of regulation, there's a lot of guidelines. You're going to deal with the legislative process. And then after the legislative process, then you have the authorization process behind that, and then the administrative procedures and all that follow. So that's a lot. That's a lot of just getting through sometimes that journey. But that's why we partner with USDA and all of the one USDA agency. And in doing so, we try to understand their program both before we go to the field and when we're in the field. Now, I said that to say this. I'm going to talk about Farm Service Agency as well, give a summary of some of the things that we're going to cover here. I'll come back later and I will talk about USDA Rural Development Program. as Mr. Williams gave reference to, and Mr. Lofton gave reference to, the agency representatives are here. And they will be open to answer any questions or to work with you on a one-on-one basis after the meeting. You'll have time to do that. And they're always here during the meeting and they stay after the meeting. So anyone who has a question that we can't answer while they're not talking during the process, you know, because they always say, I do enough talking to everybody anyway. So, you know, I'm going to try to do enough talking, you know, during this process. On the agency program and service delivery, that you will at least have a sufficient amount of information to be able to ask the questions that would allow them to give you the guidance or to do type of follow-up that may be necessary to meet what your needs are. So that's sort of the way the process is going to be here today. It's a little bit different than what it's been before. NRCS is going to be coming forward. They're going to talk about their program, their service delivery approach and process behind that. And they offer a lot of resources. Yeah, Natural Resource Conservation Services, they're going to have Farm Service Agency. I'm going to go ahead and talk about Farm Service Agency. And let me just say this. Farm Service Agency and how they offer their resources now has a lot more diversity than what it had some years ago. For instance, years ago, Farm Service Agency and what they would call a farm and how they offer their resources, you have to have a certain acreage. It may be 20 acres, 1,000 acres, 500 acres, or whichever, and what they consider as a farm. But now they actually provide financing in what they call urban farm now. So my point is that, you know, they offer services to both the micro-urban farmers, the larger farmers, whatever side, corporate, you know, limited liability corporation type farmers. They offer services, you know, with a lot more diversity. You can't be too small, or I won't say can't be too small, but you know, you could have a lot, one lot. You could have a lot, or less than a lot the size of this room. And Farm Service Agency will work with you as a farmer. You can have a vacant house lot, and they will work with you as a farmer. And they also have the program service that they offer to you to allow you to get that space certified as a farm. Now, in some areas, sometimes you see where individuals, they have beautiful gardens, and they call them gardens. They have beautiful gardens, and they produce both for household consumption. They may do some direct-to-consumer selling or marketing to individuals in that local community. Well, that could be a farm. Now, it only becomes a farm when you get a farm number. Now, let me just say this for clarity. Farm Service Agency has two different areas. They have a program service delivery area, and they have a lending area, a lending side. I'm speaking now from the program service delivery side. So on their program side, they can work with you, or they will work with you to get a farm number if your land, that lot, that garden that you are operating now, and it's not certified a class of a farmer, they will work with you to get it certified as a farm. Now, what's the benefits of that? Well, one of the benefits of it is that once you get that farm number, then you are able to access other resources from USDA, Farm Service Agency, on what they call the financial assistance side. And Natural Resource Conservation Service is going to talk more about that. And I'm going to give you one other example of that also, you know, from the farm number perspective. And once you are certified as a farm, and it may be a beautiful garden you're raising or whichever now, but once you're certified as a farm and some of the other program services you can access, and they'll talk more in detail about that. One of the programs, the minimum payment that you could be eligible for is $4,000 a year. The maximum, I think, on each farm number is about, per contract, is roughly $200,000. and Farm Service Agency representative is here. That's Kelly Norton. You have to. I'll tell you what. Now,
Oh, you're doing good. You're doing good.
no.
Keep on.
So now I was wondering why she was looking at now which one of Farm Service is not
The loan side.
the loan side. Well, I'm gonna stay away from the program side. I'll have to talk about the program side. I'm gonna talk about the loan. I'm gonna talk about the loan side. And that's why we make such good partners, people. So, you know, if I say if I go the wrong way, they think you're going the wrong way. Now, if you're going left, you should be going right. I'm gonna come back and go right now, Farm Services. Okay. I'm only gonna talk about not the program side, I'm gonna talk about the lending side. On the lending side of Farm Service Agency. Farm Service Agency offers financing opportunities to farmers, no matter what size you are. You could be the micro farmer, you could be the urban farmer. Through that direct loan program. Now that direct loan program, are you a beginning farmer? On the direct loan program, if you're going to become a regular operating type farmer as a beginning farmer, and there are certain requirements, eligibility requirements of that. For an operating loan, you can get up to $400,000. $400,000 operating loan. Now, if you're just starting off as a beginning farmer, you don't have at least 3 years experience in farming, then you're not going to be eligible for the capital side. Now, the capital side meaning accessing financing to buy land. So you can't get the loan to buy land until after you've been farming for at least 3 years, 3 years experience. On the capital side, direct loan is $600,000. So told, you know, what FSA, what they make available to individuals as farmers and those in the local community here, the farm operators, and if you have more than 3 years experience, if you're expanding an operation but want to buy more land, then the $600,000 availability on that side. But just the regular farmers starting up $400,000 operating loan, that's for equipment, that's the operating expenses for labor, for chemicals, seeds, and things of that nature. And they also have and they offer a conservation loan as well. So they have a conservation loan program. And when I say conservation, I'm not going to get into all the details of what the conservation program in practice consists of. And I'll see us talk more about that. But you know, it may be dealing with certain improvements as it relates to some of your forestry lands and things of that nature, certain practices. But let me say, when I say one USDA, if you're dealing with going in for a conservation type loan, then I would recommend that you first have your meeting with Natural Resource Conservation Services to develop or have a conservation plan and how that particular financing is going to be utilized as a loan as it relates to improvements, whatever the activities may be on your land. So that's a direct loan program. Okay. They also have a direct micro loan. So those, when I say micro farmers and urban farmers that I gave reference to, are those big gardens, and they're going to come and talk about, you know, how you make those gardens a farm. Or those micro farms or smaller farms are that lot that you say, I want to use this and I want it to be as a farm. That's the micro loan program. The micro loan program, direct loan is up to $50,000. So they can make available to individuals if they want to produce vegetables for sale, if it's in the farmer's market, other direct to consumer type sales, as well as for his own household use, you know, from that perspective. But I would suggest you have a marketing plan. Some years ago, there were individuals who were doing micro farming, and they were selling or supplying the food banks, the food pantries. And I don't know, I guess we're going to have to start having the Department of Agriculture here in the future, State Department of Agriculture. But that program was operated by way of Arkansas State Department of Agriculture and Department of Human Services. So those were individuals who sold or took vegetable crops to the food pantry. Then they were paid by the food bank for the produce that they deliver to that market itself. And that's just something, you know, and we'll have to look and get more details on that. I had a call to my office this morning, and of course they called me, and the gentleman was calling to let me know that he had 15 people picking peas. I said, well, this is not the morning I'm coming out to your farm because I'm on my way to DeWitt, and I won't be that day, which is great. But he has a market for that. So he has 15 people picking peas today. He has his own marketing strategy and how he does his marketing. And he runs a heck of a business operation, you know, not a long way from here, and where he has a pea shelter. So he sells peas to individuals, and there are people in the local community, in the local area, that he sells peas to on an ongoing basis. Now, you got to have 15 people picking and the amount of peas that he has, and he'll be picking for some time. That's just his first, you know, crop coming through, and then a later crop after that we had was staggered on his planting. As well as other individuals, those who raise squash and, you know, other vegetable crops. But that can either be on a micro basis as a farmer, small farmer, the micro loan up to $50,000, particularly if you're just starting off, or if you're going with the regular operating loan, which is up to $400,000. I'm trying to make sure I don't jump over into the program side anymore, because I was doing my notes all in the wrong area. They also have the guarantee loan. They have the guarantee loan. Now, the guarantee loan means that if you have a lender, a bank, private sector bank, then you go to the bank and the bank says they will make you an operating loan, then they will guarantee that loan with that private bank lender that you may have a relationship with. And they have these certified preferred lenders. Most banks, local banks, work back with USDA in using that guarantee program. At least a lot of them. I'm gonna say a lot of them do. I know in my area, most of the banks that's in the area where I live, they do business with USDA Rural Development, utilizing the loan guarantee program. The same thing. They have both the operating loan and they have the guarantee loan program. If I'm not mistaken, I think that the loan guarantee direct loan is roughly $1 million on the direct loan for operating, and I might be wrong on that. And the same thing back on the capital loan if you're looking at purchasing land, but the banks would know. So I got a good relationship with my bank. I know they'll work with me with my farming operation, and I've been farming for 10 years. I've been farming for 15 years, and I'm trying to buy some land now, and I need more than $600,000. Then you need to try to work with your local bank and still utilize the benefits of USDA Farm Service Agency's authority to guarantee that particular loan. I mean, that's added security for the lender, up to 90% on the guarantee. So that's added security along with, you know, whatever assets are going to be involved in dealing with acquisition of that property or purchases of the property or land, you know, that you'll be dealing with. It could be equipment and things of that nature as well. That pretty much so covers that part about Farm Service Agency on its lending side. Now, I will not, because that's program side. So I'm gonna let the program side talk about that, and some of it that I started sort of going into, you get more details as relates to the farm number, but the other that I was going to talk about is on the market subsidies and all that stuff is on the program side as well. The other area I'm going to give reference to is the air property. It's air property, and that's not on the program side, but it's lending. It's a lending program. It's not operated by USDA Farm Service Agency, but in the 2018 Farm Bill, they authorized or made available financing. The individual could go to this third party, which is called CDFIs, Community Development Finance Institution. I'll give one example. One such agency is Southern Bancorp Corporation. I know they have a Southern Bancorp in Stuttgart. They have one in Helena, West Helena. I don't know if they have one in DeWitt.
There's a branch here.
Are they? They're breaking up. Okay, they DeWitt. Oh, y'all got. Okay, he's got really big. I'm just gonna let y'all know one of my best friends, the head guy with the Southern Bancorp, and he's done a lot of work over the years, both in banking and other areas as well as for financial investment. And I know he's done some outstanding things with Southern Bancorp since he started to head the organization. Well, Southern Bancorp is a member of the Federal Home Loan Bank. And there's some amazing things that if you talk with them, if there are other things that you want to do as it relates to financing and community economic development, that can be done not just with the air property. And I know some communication that I've had with them in the past, and some of their head staff people said that they will finance or work with individuals on financing air property to buy individual interests out. Now, they do not operate as a CDFI in the re-lending program for USDA rural development. But I do know that they are a bank that has been responsive to dealing with and working with air property and individuals that are involved with and dealing with air property. From that standpoint. Now, and so they have shown that commitment as a bank, Southern Bancorp has, and they are a CDFI. Basically, CDFI is the Community Development Financing Institution. Now, the other thing that the CDFIs do and Southern Bancorp does, and I'll talk about this more in detail when I get to the rural development side, but as a member of Federal Home Loan Bank, they can also do what they call equity financing. And equity financing, if say the members in the community and say, well, we really want the bank and the mayor say, we want y'all to really work with us and try to stimulate more economic growth here, to make sure we have an added barrier to deal with the retention of our farming operation and things of that nature from a lending, or can we create more flexibility? Ready to do up to, and we call it equity financing, up to $125,000. $125,000 in equity financing as a member of Federal Home Loan Bank. That means Southern Bancorp can do that, and there's an application requirement for it, and that will mean that the business person or the business individual enterprise themselves then would have that conversation, with the bank and supported by the local leadership for that business enterprise. And say you guys say, well, you got 100%, but we really need to have, say you got 90%. And so in order to get that 100+% security for the loan that you need, you're going to have some additional cash somewhere, other means of security. Well, that's what that $125,000 can be utilized for, working with a local bank. Let me just back up. It's not just Federal Home Loan Bank, okay? It's not just Federal Home Loan Bank with Southern Bancorp Corporation, but most of the local banks in most cases are members of Federal Home Loan Bank. So any of them can do that if they're a member of Federal Home Loan Bank and utilize an equity lending program as well. Now, it's not I give reference to that as it relates to the air property situation, but I do know the Southern Bancorp, is a CDFI. While they're not the third-party lender in partnership with the USDA, they have shown and been favorable in supporting and working with individuals with air property. So air property can be a barrier. Air property can be a barrier on a lot of the other things that you're going to hear about, including when Farm Service Agency comes forward to talk about the program side and how you can become a farm, how they can work with you and your land become an actual farm. So air property. The other thing that we find with air property, a lot of times, you know, some every now and then you find where heirs they just don't get along. And then the man say, you're right. All of a sudden, when they just don't get along for some reason or another. Sometimes every now and then you find those situations. And you have an individual that's been taking care of all the business with the land, keeping things up. And then all of those, particularly those that may be more distant, you know, great or great nieces, nephews, cousins, whichever, just seem to think, well, you know, don't worry about it. I just want you to give me some money out of it, you know, and that's it. You have it rented out and say, well, what you rent it for? Well, send me my part. Don't worry about it. I got to pay the taxes. And then we got to deal with other things as relates to the property itself. That's our responsibility, the thing you have to deal with. I'm going to have to make sure we keep liability insurance on the property. We got to make sure that the operator has liability insurance because somebody set a fire there and it catches the utility pole on fire and that pole catches the fire and burned down, then utility company going to sue somebody or you got to pay to put that pole back. Well, that's the way we operate. I keep liability insurance on all of our land, okay? And I am a part of an air property situation, but I'm the administrator and my dad left it as a trust. He left the trust there. So I'm just saying from basic experience. But air property can be a challenge. It can be a barrier for you accessing resources. And that's everything from housing resources to farm financing resources and resources in general. If people are not working together and they do not work in a responsible manner, who have somebody got to be in charge. The example I was going to use probably be a good example because my pastor may be watching this on Zoom, and if I gave reference to the church, then I don't know, I may be in trouble but you do have the ministry, you have the deacon, you know how sometimes we can be. But in the, I got an amen on that. But the point of that, somebody has to be in charge on their property. And it's, you know, and even if you are an heir or undivided interest in land, you should still be dealing with estate planning. You may think you are, but you're not going to be here forever. So you should have an estate plan that specifically deals with your interest in that property. Because it may be like I have 3 children. So then the part of my estate plan and who's going to be in charge, you know, and deal with not only the farm and the land that I've purchased my own, but my interest in the trust as well. Who be the representative of what that interest is and how it relates to my estate plan. So estate planning is very, very important. If you're part of an air property situation, as well as your own individual assets that you have. Everything from your home to any farmland that may be involved. Now, this is a true story. I'm not making this story up. This is a true story. Well, I guess it's a true story. I heard it on the radio, so I guess it's actually a true story. But it's about air property, right? It's about air property. So I'm assuming it's a true story. So, you know, that was the children, and that was the house, and that mother, you know, the father passed on, the mother was in charge, everything, you know, was the mother, you know, the home and everything else. And when the mother passed, failed to leave a will, and so the house and the land that was involved, they could come to some agreement with. They could come to some agreement with that. Say, okay, didn't have no cousin, these were just the children. So they said, okay, we're just going to lease the house out. Everybody's in agreement. Go in there, everything is paid for. Same thing on the land. Undivided interest, you can be in charge, everybody sign the agreement. But that was this chair. There was a chair that was at the house. And they noted that mom, that was this big policy on the dad, but they never knew what happened with the money from the past, because she did cash the policy in, right? And that's supposed to be some cash money around, but they never saw in the bank. So, Dan must have heard this story. But if they say in a point of reality, what they could not agree to, and it wasn't no will about this chair, because who gets the chair? Because everybody figured that money was in that chair, because she had that chair upholstered a certain way, but they didn't quite know how to get in. Didn't know how, nobody going into the process. Nobody got in the chair, dealt with that chair. But after the fact, everybody wanted the chair. Nobody could agree to who gets the chair. They had to go to court about the chair. Who was going to get the chair? Now, of course, when they talk about ordering the chair being sold, well, now they wasn't in agreement with that either. They all agreed they didn't want to sell the chair, because they figured if somebody bought the chair for little nothing, and all this money was somehow in the chair, that they all would have gotten that. They were messing themselves up. So finally, judge wanted to know why is it you can't agree on this chair. So he finally started fessing up. Nobody wanted to fess up to the other one that we know mama left this money. It's all in that chair some kind of way because she had made a certain way. Lo and behold, they all agreed to take the chair apart. Money wasn't in the chair. All that time, all that disagreement and everything else, and everybody being mad at everybody, but the money wasn't in the chair. They didn't know what happened to the money. It was at the house. Buried in the house. House been leased out. But that's supposed to be a true story that was on. So our property can be a very dividing issue with families, and having the air property can create some serious barriers for you on accessing other resources. So I think that pretty much will cover the loan side, the lending side. Yes, sir.
Youth loans.
Youth loan, oh yeah, I missed the youth loan. They also have a youth loan. Farm Service Agency have the youth loan. So youth can get a loan up to $10,000. It used to be $5,000, but now it's $10,000. And in some cases, you have youth where they may be working back with their parents or whatever, and they start raising some livestock in partnership with them and doing other things. My son got a youth loan. He farmed with me for a while he was in high school. He got the loan, paid the loan back. Then, of course, went on up to college and stuff after he finished up. But that particular loan, and there are other youth that have gone through our youth program, some who've gone through it, and they have thriving business enterprises right now from the utilization of the youth loan program. There are some requirements on the youth loan program, and having a sponsor. They have to have a sponsor. 4-H Club is one. I've served as a sponsor with youth that we work with through our youth program as well, and work with them in accessing the youth loan program, and based on the type of and developing and working with them in development their business plan as it relates to farming itself. But the youth loan is another loan area. They cover a lot of fronts in relation to financing and financial resources that's available and how it benefits our local community. I'm going to stop at this point, and I'll be back on the rural development side. And we're going to go to the program side of it.
Yep, that's a Kelly.
Now you can say it.
Okay, all right. So I'm Kelly Morton, the CED for Arkansas County Farm Service Agency. Like Dr. King was saying, you'll have to have a farm number to participate in the programs there at FSA. If you have a deed or something to bring by the office, we can help you get your farm number and fill out some eligibility paperwork, get you in the system and see what you're interested in enrolling in. We do have CRP. The deadline on that is this Friday. It's with the farm bill being extended and it was so late getting it extended, they kind of got a late start on the CRP program this year. And this was actually the second batch deadline is this Friday. And what else was with that?
The NAP program. The risk one. No.
Because we don't have any.
Vegetable doses.
Yeah.
Okay. But we'll just mention it.
You can, because
Okay. And what about the market support? The EM program payments, they have that closed yet? Market support payment for farmers.
we have the ARC PLC sign up.
Okay.
Is that what you're talking about? That's what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, the ARC PLC sign up. If your farm has a base on it, then you can sign up for program payments with whatever base it has. You will, if there is a payment generated at the end of the year, then you'll be eligible for that payment. But we'd have to get you eligible in the system for that. And our farm bill is expiring September the 30th, so we really don't know what's going to happen for the next farm bill, which will start October 1. So we really don't know much.
Don't know what's going to be a continuation of.
Nothing really, we don't know much about it.
The one I was gave reference to when we said the NAP program. NAP program is basically it's a crop insurance program. If you're raising vegetables, and since we were talking about the micro urban farm, what we always encourage individuals to do, make sure they sign up for NAP or for the insurance itself to minimize your risk, that may be involved in raising vegetable crops. If you decide to become a micro urban farmer, you're getting the farm number, getting an operating loan and things of that nature as far as the process. So, and for the most part, NAP is free, particularly for a socially disadvantaged population itself. So we encourage anyone who's producing vegetables, if friends who are producing vegetables, and if they are going to go and sign up for the farm number, then once you get the farm number and they go in for financing and they're going to be raising vegetables, they should sign up for the NAP program. I mean, it just like any other large farmer that takes out crop insurance. If there's a disaster, if it's a drought, flood, whichever, then you're covered on that side. And in certain cases, if there was a disaster payment coming out, one of the requirements on disaster payment, you must have crop insurance. I guess same with the row crops and everything else. Now. So if you're raising vegetables and there is a disaster, say this is the disaster county, Arkansas is a disaster county, and you had loss in your vegetable production operation. And so that's on the program side also with the FSA on emergency disaster payments. So if you went in and said, well, I lost all my crop if I was raising pecans, or if you're raising pecans and things of that nature, something of that nature as well, same thing. Now would be the insurance that you would need to sign up for. So if you haven't been utilizing it, you need to utilize it. It's beneficial for you, to protect you for any loss. The other thing is that if you were going to go in to sign up and to get disaster emergency payments and you did not have crop insurance or had not signed up for NAP, then you couldn't get the disaster papers, right? Then you couldn't get your disaster papers. So you disqualify yourself based on something you didn't do that was free, just signing up for the NAP program for the disaster. In case a disaster happens, we have, never know when you're gonna have any disaster, but that's the other program side with Farm Service Agency. And when she mentioned the Conservation Reserve Program, CRP, Conservation Reserve, you said the sign-up period is ending or has ended?
Well, the second batch is ending Friday the 18th, July 18th. It's not much time.
Well, yeah, wow. Well, the sign-up ends tomorrow, so that's the downside behind it. But the Conservation Reserve Program, some families or even heirs can do this. If you have heir property, you can put the land in a Conservation Reserve Program. I mean, you should have your land doing something. You should do something. One heir property, it needs to be either being farmed before it loses its farm identity. That it's not identified as being a farm, and you don't want to do that. So you could either have it leased out as a farm, or you say you're not going to have it farmed anymore, then you can sign it up for the Conservation Reserve Program. And that Conservation Reserve Program, I found families in a number of cases when they put it in the Conservation Reserve Program, what they were allowed and what the program was paying per acre was more than what they were renting the land out for. But it's in a program. You have certain requirements on that, and they work in partnership with Natural Resource Conservation Service to develop that conservation plan, whether you're gonna put it in trees, grass, or whichever. But you really should learn about the Conservation Reserve Program if you have air property land or if you own land yourself, and just do an analysis which one is more beneficial for me, renting it out or putting it into the program, the Conservation Reserve Program, and how it can be beneficial to you, even just to let your land itself, sometimes when I say take it out of production for a while and make it more productive, after you take it out the program. Because he, did something back years ago, put some in and took it out. So that's what the conservation program. Do you know how much you're paying per acre now on average for this county?
Might get 111, maybe.
No, okay. So she said maybe just on an average for this county now, payment is about $111 an acre.
But it has to have been farmed. Has to have a cropping history, 2012 to 2017. It had to have been farmed those years.
2012
Or 17.
through 17.
4 out of those years.
People, here's my point on this. It's a barrier when heirs do not deal with heir property and they just let it lay out. I say losing that identity as a farm. That means if you had your 2012 up to a certain point, if that land has not been farmed, they say, well, we didn't get along, we just letting it lay out, we're not doing nothing with it. Okay, you could put into the program if you had been having it farmed and getting possibly up to $111 an acre, but not coming to any agreement and doing nothing, just like that chair. They didn't want the chair to be sold because they thought the money was in it. In the whole process and everybody fine. But then the fact that you're not doing anything, but have a plan on air property. Here's what our options are. But whatever you do, don't let the land not be used and not be farmed. Because basically it loses the identity as a farm. And particularly being eligible for program services from Farm Service Agency. I just want to emphasize that, particularly to the air property, or anybody, anyone owning land and stuff. You need to keep it operational in some fashion, either in a program or operational, one of the two. That's it.
Mr. Morton, have you assisted any heirs property owners with getting a phone number?
I personally have not. Uh,
And are you familiar with the particular CRP programs that are available in this county?
well, Nancy, our PT, our PA that was handling that, she retired, so we're working with state office, you know, the PA working with the state office. She's learning. So.
Okay. Said,
I got a question.
all right,
Kelly, would you be available or someone in the office to work with us? Cause I do have has been in a program without any production, you know. I think he come of it. But anyway, I need to talk to somebody about
Yes, ma'am. Just you can come by the office. It's on Second Street at the end of Second Street, across from Producer's Rice
okay,
Mill.
no, I know.
Okay.
Where is it?
Okay.
Okay. Do I need an appointment or anything?
Are you trying to? What do you think you may try to want to do with it? Do you know?
When
Like, what are you trying to enroll it in a program?
well, I sign up every year.
Under ARC PLC or
I'm sure what the two, so they send me the paper here. And then I come in there and turn the paper in, but I don't hear anything else.
you certified, are you certified? You certified?
Yes, and that's why I need to just come in and just find out what else I need to do.
yes, ma'am. You can just stop by the office.
Okay.
But let me say this.
Crop been out of those 4 out of 6 years. Has a crop been on it at all? Has a crop been planted on it?
No, it's just in a program. Okay.
Oh, it is in a program.
Yes,
So you get a check.
no, that's why.
Or is it not?
No, okay, yeah, what, y'all got a program, don't pay?
ARC PLC doesn't be paying the prices, you know.
Evidently, she has it in AR.
ARC, just the payment is not generated.
It depends on the
Yeah.
Something must have been planted on it.
Yeah.
History, it does have a history of planting.
Yes.
Something has been
Oh,
planted.
yes.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
so it may be eligible for a CRP.
Yeah, so,
But you have to have 4 out of 6 years to be eligible.
so let me ask this thing, because it's going to, if she's in ARCP and because of the market it's not paying now, can she transfer from ARCP over to CRP?
But she can't do both. But
You can't do both. So,
Well, that's why I need to come in, you know, I need to.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so since you haven't been getting a check lately, this is because,
It's been about 4 years since I got in.
yeah.
That's ARCP.
Yeah, okay, that's a program it's in. So what you may want to look at doing is taking it out of the ARCP program and putting it into the CRP program.
Right.
Of course, you won't get it done before the deadline because the deadline is Friday, but it will be opening back up. But you definitely need to go in the office and see them.
Not coming back.
Well, we gotta, we'll have to check the cropping history to make sure and all that. Yeah.
So you know where she's located?
Yeah,
Okay, well, good.
I know her, I don't care.
Oh, okay, great. Then, all right, so stop in there and see.
I used to work with Kelly at the
Great.
profession.
Okay,
Oh, she's-
that's all right. So Kelly, you and Miss can get together today.
Way back.
Okay, well, thank you. Is there any other questions? Mike, any online? All right, we're gonna move on. Thank Dr. King and Kelly for the Farm Service Agency on the farm program and the farm loan program side. Next, we're gonna have Kennard Williams to stand in for Marcia Hancock as the representative. Natural Resource Conservation, and he will speak on EQIP, CSP, Conservation Stewardship Program, and Conservation easement. Now, are you gonna come up or you gonna?
It's something is.
If you wanna come up, well, come on down. Oh, down.
I guess I get up.
They'll make you come.
However y'all like me to say that.
Here, you make that, so we'll get you your way.
Good morning. My name is Kennard Williams. I'm currently serving as the state outreach coordinator and the beginning farmers and ranchers coordinator for the state of Arkansas. I'm based out of Little Rock. Today I've been talking about, I'm working with USDA Natural Resource Conservation Service. You hear us call it as NRCS. Just like FSA, we use a lot of acronyms, but FSA, Farm Service Agency, at the same time as our sister agency, we actually work together, have to work together to actually provide the service to our producers, to you all out there in the community, for, I guess, this Arkansas County. I actually cover the state of Arkansas and go through different meetings and cover the whole state, for outreach and beginning farmers. I'll talk a little bit today. Have everybody in the room heard of Natural Resource Conservation Service, or NRCS? Okay, so I can skip that part of it. It just depends on the room. If a lot of people hadn't heard from me, I started, where we started, how we started. I usually do a little flipping of that part of it and how it came about. But since everybody knows about NRCS and what we do, we'll talk about 3 programs. One is EQIP, and that's the Environmental Quality Incentive Program first, and then I'll talk about CSP, which is Conservation Stewardship Program, and then I'll talk about ASEP, which is the Agricultural Conservation Easement Program. The very first thing that we do, if you have property, one thing about our programs, there's no acre requirement restrictions. So it can be a 2/10 of an acre, but the most important thing, you have to get a farm number, tract number to start off with. Those things will go through the Farm Service Agency. They actually assign you a farm number, tract number. You actually have to go to the office, and you'll need a deed. You'll need an area photo where your property is located. Then they'll provide you some documentation to fill out a 2047 where you actually set up the entity structure. You have to sign and do a AGI form, which is a adjusted gross income. And what that form is, it states that you make less than 900,000 per year, adjusted gross. And then you have to do a 1026, which is a wetland determination, HEL wetland determination. And the FSA will help you, assist you with all that information to fill out, those forms to fill out. NRCS, we don't mind helping as well. Like I say, we brother, sister agency, we help each other. We partner to help each other to make sure we provide the service to our customers, which is the farmers and you all here. We do have an initiative as well. As currently it's still the urban initiative, then we provide a lot of different practices under it. Like, I don't know if you heard of the high tunnel, the seasonal high tunnel. Seasonal high tunnel is almost like a greenhouse, but the difference is the high tunnel, you have to plant it in soil compared to in trays and things like that. So you actually plant it directly into the soil. So a seasonal high tunnel versus a hot house, but greenhouse. That the difference is you have to plant it in the soil, actually in the soil. The purpose of it, it actually extends the growing life. You can actually go in and plant earlier, you can harvest longer. So when you're doing different crops and especially alternative crops, you can go in that high tunnel and plant a lot sooner. You can harvest a lot sooner, like you can hit the market a lot faster. And then you also can plant longer in multiple crops in that high tunnel as well, produce for production. And that program, and a lot of those programs, a lot of that practice will fall under our EQIP program. And it provide, first of all, once you get established in the system, the most important thing, we started as soil conservation service. And then we changed in mid-90s to the natural resource conservation service. But with the core of our agency, you need to address your soils and look at your soils. We do have, Arkansas is fortunate and blessed to have the extension office that where you can go and get a soil test. You go and pull your soil test, soil sample. It doesn't cost you anything. So that's the core when you start farming or thinking about farming or you're farming at that time. You need to know what nutrients that you need for that particular plant. And once you they give you 5 slots of different plants and rotation that you may put on it. We also, so that's where you're gonna start it. It don't make sense to put fertilizer out or lime out and you don't need it. Throwing away money at that time. Under our program, the most important thing, we do provide conservation technical assistance. And what that does, if you want, we come out to try to address resource concerns on your property. You have a goal where you're trying to get to, where you want to be. But we want to make sure we come out and provide you that conservation plan to see if there's any other resource concerns or problem. Resource concerns is just a problem that you may have on your site, on your property. So the start is coming into the office, setting up an appointment to try to come out and we actually do a site visit. It's hard to say, I got this issue, I have this issue and this problem, and you're sitting at the desk at the table. But the most important thing is say, hey, on a set up appointment, for us to come out and do a field visit. That's where you start your conservation planning. And that's actually, you do that part before you even start doing financial assistance. So we'll provide 2 services pretty much. And that's to address the resource concern and financial assistance at the same time. So need to identify the problem, and then we try to address the problem financially to help at the same time. So that's EQIP. We address a lot of the problems through EQIP, and that's where you can do the seasonal high tunnel. You can do micro irrigation system. You do mulching. Nutrient management is part of that part I was talking about, the soil testing. That's the basic nutrient management. And in our sheds, we do have even though we do have some conservation assistance for it, a lot of that services, like I say, you can get from the extension office. Nutrient management, pest management, and that's help you address the chemicals or whatever you may put out on the soil. We do have an organic initiative. You have a transition organic initiative to try to start to get certified. We do have dollars and funds in that category as well for transition to organic. Now, when I was talking about the basic nutrient management, I'm going to go into a CSP, the Conservation and Stewardship Program. What that does, EQIP is pretty much the core to get the problems addressed on your property, and we help you with those financial assistance. CSP is a program that enhances those areas. And give you an example, since I'm sticking with nutrient management. Soil testing is the basic on nutrient management. You can actually sign up for CSP. CSP can be enhancement that you can actually do tissue analysis, and that'll get a little bit more in depth on what that plant actually needs at that time and what need to be applied. So CSP can actually enhance you, and it'll pay you to enhance that nutrient management practice. That's the program that Dr. King was talking about. The NRCS have a minimum payment of $4,000. So when you start saying, well, it's just a little spot, it may be 1/10 of an acre or 2/10 of an acre or 1/2 acre. Well, it doesn't make a difference about the size. And it may say, well, it's not even worth the payment. Well, the minimum is $4,000 for 5 years. Contracts are 5-year contracts. So you can do the math on that part. So it actually helps you be sustainable at the same time on the CSP. So that's CSP. Talk about EQIP, talk about CSP. Now I'm talking about ASAP. ASAP is Agriculture Conservation Easement Program. And what that does, it allows you to put program put acres or farm ground into like wetlands or set aside acres for wetland or grassland. Those type of practices. You may not want to farm it anymore. We'll pay a flat rate. Oh, I mean, take that back. We'll pay a set rate based on the value of the land. It'll be appraised. And then you can't farm it anymore. So we'll turn around and restore it back to either wetlands or trees or grass, for 8-7. I also want to mention that all of our programs, including FSA, all our programs are voluntary. You know, there's a voluntary basis. You come in, you apply. So we don't have any regulatory programs that you can actually, or we provide in our, so everything is voluntary. A lot of our practices are local driven. So if you come into the office or we do have a catalog book, and I believe you passed out one, Ms. Barber. The catalog book, you can pass out catalog books. In those catalog books, you see the conservation practices that's offered by NRCS. If you see something in there that we do not address, the problem or the issue you may have, all our things are locally led based. Our conservation district, that's where you go and get practices added, or you don't see something addressing what you need. That's how it changes. We can change it every year. Come to the state committee, subcommittee to be addressed because it's local led. The community, y'all decide what practices in your community, how y'all want to address and what you want to address if we don't have them in those books. So that's one good component about our programs. We are here to help and serve our community. And what that does, we're here to, which is our motto, helping the people, help the land is our motto. So if there's something there that we can't provide, or it's not, you don't see it, please let us know. Y'all can always reach out to me, even though I cover the state. I'll make sure Marshall Hancock was unable to make it today. He's your actual supervisor for Arkansas County. And he's in the same next door, on 2nd Street, next door to FSA. So they're just next door. And you can always welcome to call him or go in and talk to him for assistance under the EQIP program or CSP or ASAP program. And that's pretty much it for me. Are there any questions for me?
Oh, well, the pollination program.
Which one?
When you put your pollinators in.
Pollinators?
Yeah. Now that's separate from the EQIP, or you can put it in as part of an EQIP plan.
It goes up on the EQIP. You talking about financial assistance?
Right.
It goes under the EQIP. And they do have a couple components that you can put on the CSP as well for pollinators, but the biggest part of it is under EQIP program.
So I mean, programs like that, putting pollinators in, that's not just good for the operator if they have a microurban farm, but it's also good for the community. I mean, trees and everything else is in a local area.
Absolutely. One thing about pollinators and for produce, if you don't have a pollinator, your produce will not produce. Right. So always remember that. And it can be bees, it can be butterflies, so you have different pollinators. And we do have a program where you can plant pollinator plants, so you can track them, the pollinators. And right. You have to have them to actually have your food. It's critical, it's essential. And also at the same time, you're doing bees, you can get the honey off of it too. So as we know, honey's good for us, and you can extract it and sell it, and things like that at the same time. But we definitely have to have pollinators to produce produce crops.
So when you said from the CSP and under the EQIP, right. So if one developed a pollinators plan, just say if it was a community-based organization or even a city, say, okay, we want a pollination plan. It's good for the area, it's good for all our trees and everything else. Then they can apply for that under the EQIP, get the financial system to put the pollinators in. And does that fall then if you switch over to the CSP contract, where they get the minimum $4,000 a year, then to maintain and continue with the pollinators?
Right. Give you an example of that. Some people may already be doing pollinators or maybe doing some form of pollinators. And those are the ones that most times you're gonna go to your CSP. So they already have pollinators going, or they're doing something that's doing pollinators. They may have flies, they may have grasses, they may have different flowers blooming at different times. Mm-hmm. So CSP enhances. So equip is gonna be when you start. You're starting out, trying to get there, trying to get everything started with your basics. Then you go to enhanced, which is CSP.
Have any municipalities, say for park areas, would they qualify to start pollinators in park areas, certain type of flowers? And, the benefit of that, particularly for, for park and for other people with flowers and trees and things of that nature, does that qualify?
Check with your local, check with Marshall, see, he can answer that.
Okay.
So the community, I go back to your local office. Cause I'm gonna tell you the reason I say a lot of that.
Yeah.
Say part of that. I've been involved in some of the other communities. They wouldn't allow certain things in the community. City, so that's the reason I say I always check with the local office. You start dealing with your parks and your recreation. Yes, sir.
Well, I've had this issue, we aerial spray for mosquitoes.
Oh, okay.
And I've stuck where it does too. I mean, mosquitoes are a big problem here if we run through it. And I've had conversations with, a lot of folks have topicals that grow up here.
Right.
So we try to hold the spraying, the aerial spraying off until at least the end of June, which hopefully the mosquitoes don't usually get too bad much before then. But I guess what I'm trying to say is the pollination that you're talking about. I've had some people that don't like the spraying for mosquitoes, not, well, one or two. And I just wondered if you've had that issue come up in cities with, and how that affects the butterflies and the bees, and we're killing the mosquitoes, but we're killing those things too. Yes, well, I don't know.
I don't either. I was just thinking of it from a be it organizations or municipalities, if they're dealing with certain areas. But now you say the mosquitoes don't normally come out until June.
Well, it just depends.
Okay,
we are using larvicide this year.
Yeah.
The first year we started it, we put some in the park water out here, which is compatible with the fish and everything. But it's the first year, and I'm going to try to step that up. I think if you do it right, I've been told it really helps. And of course, it costs us, the city, $2,500 to run this airplane over the town. That's what it costs per week, because we run it once a week.
wow.
So, if the larvicide, they got to hatch out. And I think the life cycle is around 3 or 4 weeks, something like that. So if we can stop them from hatching out, I mean, that's a big issue. And I've talked to some people in Mississippi that are doing this in their community, and they say it really helps. The larvicide I got only lasts for 30 days. They make some that last for 90 days. And I spent $5,000 doing that. We're getting it put out. Should be done this week, putting out in on the drainage here in DeWitt runs from west to east. So we're starting on the west side of town and putting these things in the float. And I don't know, we'll try to see if it does. I'd like to get a little bit more technical about the mosquitoes and put the traps and see where they are and the locations, things like that. I'm talking, this is not part of your deal.
Right. but that's a good point though. Now you start looking at, that's when you start getting your beehive, the beekeepers. Because I do know your bees, most times 12, 1 o'clock, they go in at nighttime. Because most times when you transport them at night, because they go in the hives and they out very early in the morning. So
I don't know what the chemical is, but I've been told what it is. I mean, it's I stood outside and with the airplane flying over the house, I can't feel anything. You don't see it on the windshield or anything like that. I'm 71 years old. As a kid in the 60s, we used to on a bicycle, we used to drive behind the mosquito fog trucks, and wonder I'm still alive.
yeah.
I don't know what they were putting out. But anyway, I can remember my dad putting that around the house. But anyway, it is a issue that you're trying to balance things. We've got to have the bees and butterflies too.
Right. And a lot of it is time. Just think about a lot of it is time. So just
and not only that, you're putting out Melathon, and paramelathon, and
Right.
killing all these army worms that are in the beans around here, so, I don't know.
I got a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
You're locally in Arkansas. Have you been up to the agriculture secretary in Washington, D.C.? Have you met him personally?
No, ma'am, I just, mine's just an argument, I just work with the local, state.
I just wondered where are you as far as securing our programs here in Arkansas? Because, they don't have anything to do with the programs here.
Well, all our funding and all our allocations come from DC, Washington. Like we don't know our fiscal year. Remember, our fiscal year start October 1 and goes through September 30th.
Okay.
And with those allocations and those funds usually they don't come out until usually November of each year.
Mm-hmm.
And our state, like my supervisor, that she usually work with the school, DC level, and then it comes down.
I see.
Yes, ma'am. They come down to the program, how much each year for equip, for CSP and HSL. So those are allocated from DC, either be in November, and November and December. But last year we got it in November, and then they already had to have it earmarked for which program. Well, it comes from DC, and then we take it and cipher it, and may break it down and put it in some other categories, saying that okay, this equipment, this may be for pasture ground, or this may be for cropland, this may be for forestry. We'll take the funds and put it in different places based on that local led work group I was talking about earlier per county. Each county have a local led work group, and that usually take place around August, September in your county. And what they get ready for the funding for the new year that's coming up that new year. So any of the changes or any of the funds which way you like to see your county funding go, your local led work group, you can always, that's an open meeting to the public, and you can go and attend that for which dollar, where you want the dollars to go and make sure it cover and hit the what you need for your area, for your county.
Conservation district.
What conservation district? What is it? Local led?
Local ed
At the conservation district, I'm sorry, at the conservation district office in your county, which is, we always, in each office, in our city office, you have a conservation district. And that's where your local led meeting will be held at that district, conservation district. Thank you, Mr. Reddy.
Mr. King had been in for years. I think in the past, Mr. King, he met them in Washington office, haven't you? Remember, they used to be invited down to Frankfurt years ago.
We still do that. We still do that. Last year, NRCS, the regional conservationist, the regional conservationist from Washington D.C. spoke at our state conference, and we have that every year. We either invite the secretary directly, and the secretary will assign the person for which department that they would like to have participate, in the conference event itself. In certain cases, sometimes it's the undersecretary for the with USDA and with one of the department areas. It may be the administrative person, say with Farm Service Agency, it may be their undersecretary, administrative person, head out of Washington. But that's sort of the way we've operated, over the years. And plans, as a matter of fact, those letters are getting ready to go out now. But they've always been responsive, and we've maintained, the partnership over the years, both at the state level as well as with the national. So hopefully this year, they'll be equally as responsive, and with the representation, being in Arkansas in October.
Any other questions for me?
Just one other. I've gotten letters in the past about the feral hog problems on their farmland. And all they did when I sent in information about the problem on the land. All they did was, giving me names of people that could come in and kill them all. But I had to be responsible for moving them. I heard a segment on TV about a month ago where they were actually giving cages to some people. Do you know anything about that?
Pages, no ma'am, I know under our program, we do not. So it may have been a state program or something like that, but under USDA or NRCS, no ma'am. Not-
What, that's on nuisance animals?
Yes.
You're talking about cages for the.
For those
feral-
feral.
Okay. Now, in certain parts of Arkansas, and it does go back to that local group. No, in some parts of Arkansas, NRCS has funded, and they will just do designated funding, special funding for that, and dealing with, say, nuisance, and wild hogs has definitely been one of them. Normally, that takes place at the state level, and the state committee and the administration there, but it has to come from the local area. The work group that gave reference to say, this is the issue in our area, and there should be funding, they want funding to be designated for the area to address this in the area from a conservation perspective. And it has to be from I forgot what it is that the wild hogs do that has to do with the managing them better to deal with conservation management. Well, I know a lot of it's been up in the hilly areas and things of that nature.
They were rooting the crops up for one, and
Right.
then we were having a lot of runoff when it
Right.
rains.
Right.
So they were tearing up a lot of the cover crops, and because they were rooting. And that was one of the resource concerns was soils,
Erosion.
Moving soils and stuff. Yeah, so erosion.
Right.
Erosion was one of the problems trying to
Right.
address.
The reason I mention it is because a lot of times funds are available for larger or the more close affluent areas. And then, but we down in this area don't get it or don't hear about them. They're not offered to us. So the problem was taken care of here because private citizen took his own cages down there, caught and killed them. And so,
Like Dr. King was saying, that's where it goes to your conservation district for that local work group.
yeah,
Or have problems or have issues. And we call our problems as resource concerns is what we're calling in those meetings. But it's just a problem that you're having on your farm operation. That's where you go and address them if it's not there. Addressing it in your county. And that's how they can add different practices and components and things like that. So they can come back to the state and come to us from the top.
okay.
You want?
I'm just gonna say the answer to the question, as that was saying, the state level take care of it, the game war would take care of this area down here. That's where it comes in down here. Your local, just join your local state, you go to the local state, your game war, they have already, like I said, the funds in this area, take care of all the wild hog, the farm, come and then take care of your area.
Really?
Yes, man.
Yeah, I was going to mention the other will be the state.
Yes,
Department.
ma'am.
It will be the State Department of Agriculture.
Department, okay.
So through the State Department of Agriculture, and then where they have wildlife, that wildlife division. They also, but normally they will work in partnership with the conservation districts as well. Particularly if it comes down to resource and revenue, how to get those resources allocated, specifically targeted for your local area. And that comes from the state level down based on the local groups making the request for funding assistance for that. But it should really be in partnership with the State Department of Agriculture and the wildlife, animal control. And the wildlife
Arkansas Game and Fish.
Arkansas Game and Fish. There you go. Arkansas Game. I have one other question.
Yes.
Conservation easement.
Okay.
What's the payment level now for conservation? And I understand that, you know, on the CSP conservation easement, you know, you have the permanent program and then you have the 15-year, you know, program. So what's the payment per acre on both 15-year versus permanent?
I don't know the current payment rate, because it changed, it went up.
Yeah.
It's gone up since last time I've seen it. So it'll adjust actually based on appraise, because like, so I don't wanna tell you wrong. I think the last I heard was right at $3,000 for irrigated, and you got an irrigated price.
Right, irrigated price and non-irrigated price,
You got
right.
a forestry price. You
Right.
They pick any tree, so it's like 3 different prices, so that'll be something you actually have a team that work those.
Mhm.
And they'll have all the rates, but I can get it for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other question, I know sometimes a lot of individuals have farmland and the farmland has trees on it. You know, for example, particularly with some of the air property land. If you were going to put it into a conservation easement, say 15 years, best practices, would it be to get a forestry plan done and see how much timber is harvestable and harvest the timber before you put it into the program? Is harvesting timber after it's in the program eligible? Can you do that?
Well, they got a certain amount of forestry versus the cropland. So if you have so much cropland, they'll allow you to put so much forest land in based on total acres of cropland
Okay.
that you put in. As a forest management plan, it's always good to have a forest management plan, even for it or without it. You need to know what you need to manage, what you have out there, what's marketable, what's valuable, what's not. Because sometimes the stuff that's not good stuff, you need to go in and probably do whatever the management practices say, maybe a hacker's work or whatever, to get out there. Stuff that's not good and manage for your good timber. So that's the way you're gonna make your actual revenue. So,
Which they can get financial assistance for that. Yeah. So
through equipment.
yeah.
They get that through equipment.
Through the
Yes.
equip, that was the other thing, to really
Yes, sir.
manage the forestry portion better, get the forestry plan done, take all the undergrowth and bad trees out.
We do have conservation practice to actually go in and manage the forest. Forest, I didn't talk much about forest, I didn't talk much about pasture, but it covered cropland, forest land, and pasture land.
Right, I just want,
So equivalent, so the combination.
because we sometimes, I mean, even if it's 10 acres, 5 acres, or whatever, if it's forestry, trees on the land, you really should have a forestry management plan done. Of course, that falls under the financial assistance with the conservation program. And it makes your timberland more productive. You know, more productive, generating more income, particularly for the future. If you manage your property, harvest some of the timber out, have a management plan done, get the financial system, take all the undergrowth out, all the bad trees out that's not marketable trees, taking all of that out, and leaving your good softwood and hardwood in there, and then doing a managed cut on that. And you have a good forestry system going on your land. Because some of our land have 20 acres of forestry areas and it's just not being managed at all. So that falls under the conservation easement program. I want y'all to know that.
And it.
All right.
That's it. All right.
Okay, thank you, Kennard, with NRCS. Next, we're gonna have on the program, rural development, program, which Doc will go over. However, we do have, rural development here. They're gonna speak with you after on one-on-one, after the program. Doc gonna come up and brief you on the programs.
I want y'all to know Ms. Williams already punched the pot before I got up. So So she wanted to make sure I saw the clock on the wall. I'm gonna cover a little bit of the housing portion of it, and I'm gonna do it on a summary basis. She said that, RD is here to talk with you on a one-on-one basis, about the programs and what they have to offer. One, is their 504 program. Rural Development has the 504 program, which is both on the loan side and on the grant side. Okay? On the loan side, 1% interest up to $40,000. This is for home renovation. I hope I'm right on that part. Up to $40,000 on the 504 for renovation of a home, 1% interest rate. Also under 504, they have the grant program up to $10,000 on the grant program side. And basically what the program does, what it does, on the grant side, you deal with health and safety, type of issues. When you get down to health and safety, a lot of if it's, you may not have adequate windows, so it gets too cold in the house, you lose too much air. You may be getting mildew build up because you have leaks, from the ceiling. It's creating, ceiling, mildew or mold. It could be a wiring issue. It's a safety issue from that perspective. It may be a plumbing situation from some of the old pipes that's been in the system for a period of time, in the house for a period of time, that need to be replaced or taken out. The old galvanized pipes type of lead situation that need to be removed from a health perspective. So that's on the grant side. And then again, the loan side up to $40,000. So you're talking about a total of $50,000 on the 504 program through USDA Rural Development. Then they have the direct loan side. The direct loan side, if you're looking at building a new home, looking at building a new home, I think it's up to $419,000 now. I hope I'm right or not, $417,000, somewhere in that range. And again, that depends upon the eligibility of the individual or the family themselves. If you're talking about a new construction loan, that's the 502 program. So the 502 program, new home construction, the direct loan. Let me back up to the 504 just quickly. I keep giving reference to air property. If you're dealing with the 504 program and you want to do renovation on a house, even if you're living in the home or you have a family member living in your home, you're gonna have to have house ownership. I worked with an individual, it was an air property situation, and we finally got it worked out. They deeded everything over to their sibling, and they did it under what you would call a sort of a restricted deed. Okay, restricted deed, basically saying the property can't be sold. Outside of the family members or the doctor said something of that nature thing. How they got it worked out through the whole process. And then, the individual qualified for the 504 program, and she was able to get the renovation all done on that. And it was a nice family home, but it couldn't afford to do some of the work that needs to be done on that particular family home at that particular given point in time. We in Arkansas County. It's got the categories. You're either very low income, and moderate income. Three categories that you fall into in Arkansas. One person gets the maximum is 38,000. That's going up a lot. You sure that's right? Okay, so the maximum income for this under the very low income for one person is $38,600. The low income one person now eligibility is $61,750, and for the moderate income category is, you sure? The market was USDA paper.
It just came out July 8th.
Okay, so, and the moderate income is 119,800. It's Arkansas County. I'm only speaking Arkansas County only. 119,850. That's for one person. And of course, you get to two person, it's the same thing, and three person, it's the same thing. It's not the same. Yeah, it is. 118,000. Moderate income, 38,000, 61,000. And that's all Arkansas County. When you get over to 8 people in the household, it's 50,000, 81,000, and 158,000 on those three categories. Same thing with 7 people. Same thing with 6 people. I mean, that's some of those they're requirements for the program. Income is one of them. The other eligibility requirement on the 504 program is age and income. When I say age and income, you have to be at least 62 years of age to qualify for the 504 program, on the grant program. 62 years of age or older on that side. So they have other resources available. They have community facilities, grant loan program. And again, that based on eligibility, it would be for municipalities that are also organizations, nonprofit organizations qualify for the community facility. Again, it depends on the economic status, the average income for the area. I don't have that information here. I would just suggest you contact the USDA Rural Development Office, on that. Of course, community facilities, municipalities qualify. It could be for a fire station. It could be for a civic center. Things of that nature. For that particular program under USDA infrastructure is the other water sewer system. They also offer that program from a financing perspective. Combination, again, grant, loan as well, depending upon the eligibility criteria, income, economic status in the area, average income is a factor. Is a factor based on to look at how much is going to be loan and how much is going to be a grant program. They also have the business enterprise grant loan program. And I'm going to suggest you go by USDA Rural Development. That program is normally funded through the state, but the local office can work with you to get you to the individual and the information for those individuals who may be interested in applying for the loan or the grant program as related to business enterprise. I want to mention this also. In fact, we all have Southern Bancorp here in Arkansas County and here in DeWitt. Again, it's a CDFI, Community Development Finance Institution. That particular CDFI, Southern Bancorp, they have a first-time home buyers program. Now, they also are a certified lender in dealing with using a guaranteed loan program with USDA Rural Development. They've had that partnership for years. That down payment assistance program can assist individuals in dealing with leveraging the necessary financing if you're dealing with a direct loan program and the guarantee base of that program with USDA Rural Development, particularly dealing with the closing costs and any type of down payment assistance, the first time home buyers program. So I want to mention that. And again, the other programs also, normally those are done by nonprofit organizations on housing in partnership with Southern Bank Corporation, as well as with USDA Rural Development that can be created. And where you use the combination of both the 504 program, then you have, it can be down payment assistance to create some diversity, with that on new home construction, along with an affordable housing program through Federal Home Loan Bank. But the bank has to be the applicant for that if you're gonna do a program like that as an added subsidy to the 504 program, okay? And that would be a grant as well. Maximum $2 million on that, but you gotta develop a strategy and a plan to structure such a program in partnership with Southern Bank Corporation and USDA Rural Development would be the key factors on that. The only other program I'm going to mention in relation to housing with USDA Rural Development, this is also a partnership initiative with a nonprofit organization. They have their preservation grant program. The preservation grant program is the maximum now, so a nonprofit organization could do this in the local community. I think the maximum now, and I may be wrong, it might be more, was up to $50,000 in grant. Now, but you can't use both. I don't think you can use the 504 grant program along with the preservation grant program. So the organization has the preservation grant program, and they're going to use $10,000. They're going to just say 5,000, okay? And they're going to use the preservation grant to do new windows, put in certain other corrective actions on safety issues, but you can use the preservation grant program for that as well. That's what the USDA Rural Development. Again, there are requirements. On that program, you must give public notice at least 30 days in advance prior to making application for that program. That's from the state office as well. On the preservation grant program. And I may be wrong about that, but I'm thinking now that you cannot use the preservation grant with the 504 grant. Maybe the loan you can, but not the grant part. The other is though, and we've done this program before, now we partnered with the Community Action Agency under that weatherization program. Now, you can use the weatherization program with the preservation grant program at USDA Rural Development to increase the amount of services you're able to deliver as far as the home improvement and stuff is concerned. And the eligibility criteria is basically the same, 62 years of age, or older, anyone that you'll be working with through the preservation grant program with USDA Rural Development. And I think that's the energy program. They offer energy program also. We've got the business grant and loan program, the energy program with the grant program. That program is normally used, I think, particularly with municipalities and public facilities, the building, and with farming operations as well, where they do an assessment and how you can conserve energy, and that comes by way of a grant and putting upgrading the type of utility services you have, including heating and air systems and things of that nature. But they do have an energy grant program as well. And I'm thinking that's all that we have on the grant loan program, community facilities, and again, the one other program, and this one also in the application process goes to the state. They have a self-help housing program. I'm not going to try to go through the whole process of how the self-help housing program works, but self-help housing is basically called sweat equity. And the organization that I've seen implement that and work with individuals who want to build new homes. But it's a self-help housing program. They normally frame them into groups. You go through a training process. They have a licensed contractor that work with them. So if you're going to do 5 houses at a time, then everyone in that group of 5, when they start working on house number 1, everybody assisted working on that house until this would be then going on to house 2 under supervision of a licensed contractor and how the program, but what I've seen, and I may not give them in detail how it normally works, but it has proven to be a good program in a lot of areas and created the affordability for families to get new homes. The other areas that I've seen that to be very successful in is where there was partnership between a community-based organization, a community action agency, and the self-help housing program. But another example of that is a partnership with USDA Rural Development under the self-help housing program, a community action agency, then Southern Bank Corporation under the Affordable Housing Grant Program through Federal Home Loan Bank, which has to go through a member bank. It doesn't have to be Southern Bank, it could be any bank, but any particular local bank. But that takes planning and from a partnership perspective with USDA Rural Development being the lead investor, on that with the self-help housing program, a community action agency, if they saying they are committed to support at least X houses from the weatherization grant program, and then the bank, the partner bank with that would be the applicant for with the organization for up to $2 million for additional equity financing to create the affordability of the new home construction. But that's the other resource. I've seen it in certain areas where it was done. There's some have been done in Arkansas as well. But that's pretty much so covers both the diversity makeup partnership that can be created utilizing both federal, private bank, Federal Home Loan Bank, and USDA as the lead, and still is the lead in doing rural housing development. Now we'll work, we know how the programs work, and we'll work with any group or any organization in a local area if you want us to assist in that whole process to develop such a program with USDA. With another nonprofit organization. Now, I want rural development to know I'm not talking about us coming over here having no folk over here doing the program. I'm not committed to that. But if there's an organization and a group, then we will work with the group from a technical assistance perspective to put such a program in place and partner with USDA Rural Development to do that. And I understand the application process with Southern Bank Corporation and Federal Home Loan Bank. So I'm on the advisory board with Federal Home Loan Bank, so that's the reason I say that, and how that program works. So a lot of opportunities out there, create affordable housing and make housing opportunities available. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Okay. I want to thank each and every one who come with USDA roundtable discussion. We hope we have enhanced your knowledge of what to do with your land you have, whether you want to become a farm owner, farm producer, you want to work with NRCS, FSA. What's your address here in FSA?
1015 West 2nd Street.
1015 West 2nd Street. You can visit them. And also NRCS is next door, 1015 West 2nd Street. Or you can visit Rural Development, 4401 North Washington in Forest City, Arkansas. Or if you want to speak with them today, one-on-one, they are here to answer any questions regarding housing. So we want to thank you all. Again, thank you. And
could you have rural development to raise their hand? This is rural development representative and the Farm Service Agency representative. If y'all want to have a discussion with them after the meeting, then they can do a one-on-one.
Okay, thank you. You have a safe trip going back.